everybody, and welcome to the Unwatched Pile. I'm Stephen Billings. With me, as always, Andrew Cabral. What's up, man?
What's up? What's up? Yeah, this is a late entry into the year of Unwatched Pile as we down our popcorn. Yeah, we are coming in at the 11th hour to sneak one more video into the year of 2025 for the Unwatched Pile to get a full 12 videos in, one per month. That's how things have been rolling so far this year. But yeah, it's that weird time of year where time really doesn't matter.
Here he goes with time again.
Ironically,
jeez, what are you, Christopher Nolan or something?
Ironically, I was looking back at the year that was for Unwatched Pile, and not that much dealing with time. Well, maybe a couple here, but anywho. So it's just Steven and I this time, no guest for this episode.
At this time of the year, it's a little harder to get guests because everybody's got a lot going on. And I just honestly, to be honest, we got other, with movie mutations, other things. I'm already doing other things with people anyway and them things. So I don't, in this end of the year, I don't mind, taking the guests, but starting the year off, we should be back on with guests in the Unwatched Pile. So I got a few people I think lined up to join us. I've even thought about doubling this show because I like it so much. But like doing it
month?
Yeah, but it's just because we got other shows and we got other projects. I'm a little afraid to attempt it. So for now, we'll keep it one a month. But I am thinking about it. I'm like, I really like this show, and it gives me purpose to watch movies in my collection. So I just I like doing it.
What's interesting is you mentioned that, and as I'm compiling kind of like my year in the my year-end assessment of all the releases this year, I realized that I've just added more stuff that I've got to watch, mostly rewatch things I have to rewatch, which is a whole other pile.
That's a different pile.
Whole stack of movies in your life. But I just realized that there's just so much that I've watched and I've got to rewatch. So there's unwatched stuff and there's watched stuff that you want to rewatch, and then there's new stuff you haven't seen yet. That's brand new stuff. There's so many things you have to watch, and you get to that end of the year and you're like, damn, did I even watch anything this year? But of course you have. Of course,
yeah. Well, you definitely, because that's what you do for Chasing Labels. You literally watch tons of new stuff. I mean, do you own it all? No, you have to go search it out. But
no,
but you definitely,
It's interesting because you watch all this stuff for Chasing Labels to talk about it, and then you get towards the end of the year when all this stuff starts coming out. So you're like, okay, then you got to go back and look at, hey, like, what did I think about this at the time? Did I recommend people to buy it? Was I enthusiastic about it? Do I still want to get it? You kind of deal with all of those things. Most of the time, they are emphatic yeses, but sometimes you're like, oh, I can put that off a little bit.
I can tell you this. Just going back into our first time watches that were involved with the Unwatched Pile. I do want to clarify. So tonight, after we do our 12th Unwatched Pile episode, we are going to delve in. We're going to go back into the year's worth of Unwatched Pile episodes and look at the first time watches. Not that we didn't watch first time watches not involved in this show, but we are going to focus on the first time watches that we did on this show and rank them. We're going to rank all 12. And then after that, give our 3 favorite double features that we presented in the episodes. Thought that would be fun. I think we kind of did it last year, but I think we did first time watches in general, like all first time watches. So this will be specific to the show.
Yeah.
So,
and if you're coming here from Chasing Labels, I mentioned that we originally, our idea was to go with our favorite like new releases of the year, which would be the back end of this episode.
Yeah.
But Steven changed it, I think, literally the next day. Literally the next day.
Yeah, initially I was like, oh, this is a chance to talk about new movies, but I was like, that don't really fit this show.
Yeah, that wouldn't really work in with it. I feel like that's something that we could do separately, or I could do separately, because I've been going at it like just catching up on all the new releases for the last several weeks and whatnot. So maybe that'll be a separate episode of something else.
Yeah.
We've got You
But
know,
yeah, we got a whole bunch of stuff to cover. Of course, got our normal show that we're gonna do. We both had first time watches for this episode, and if you haven't seen this show before or listened, the Unwatched Pile is a show where we jump into our Blu-ray collections, dust off that unwatched pile because collectors we're curious. We buy a lot of stuff we haven't actually seen. I know it sounds weird, but if you're listening to this show, you know what we're talking about. And we take one of them unwatched films, we watch it, we bring it on the show to discuss. And then we then go back into our collections and find a film we have seen that will pair nicely with that new film. So usually we have a guest, but these last few episodes we've decided to go guestless. So, but yeah, how about you go first? You tell us about your first unwatched film.
yeah. So my first unwatched pile is something I've had in my collection for a very long time. I want to say 15 years.
Honestly, when you said you didn't see this, I was really surprised because I
You know
know
what's crazy is I've had it probably longer than like 90% of my collection.
Well, I know you're a big fan of the filmmaker, so I was like,
that's why.
Whoa, like.
So this is the George Clooney starring, Steven Soderbergh directing film Solaris. Now, this is a DVD copy because there is no Blu-ray of this in the US or in the UK. I think there's one Blu-ray of this that came out in Germany like 7 or so years ago, but I don't know how official that is. But as of region A and, other areas, not really available in HD, at least in physical form. So this is the old DVD from, I don't know, mid 2000s, one could say. And I haven't had this in my collection since then, but I want to say I probably got this in the late 2000s. So when I started collecting DVDs, would have been around 2006, 2007, 8-ish area. And then I started latching on to certain, American indie filmmakers, Kevin Smith, Quentin Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez, Steven Soderbergh would have been another one. And so I just started gobbling up all of Steven Soderbergh's work in like the late 2000s, early 2010s. And luckily for me, he basically came out with a movie or a project per year from like 1997 to like 2015. Like it was like a crazy run where it's just like every year he had something.
No wonder he wanted to like quit multiple times.
Yeah, like multiple times he wanted to take a break. And he's he came back obviously and he's still working now. I think he just came out with 2 movies this year.
Yeah.
There you go. Black Bag and Presence, I think, were his 2 movies from this year. But Solaris, I remember when this came out back in 2002. I remember the promotional campaign for it. I remember seeing the trailer for it, the TV spots, certain promotions they had at like maybe certain fast food chain restaurants. I don't know at the time.
Really? This movie?
It was a weird time.
I was gonna say this isn't the movie I would think of would have a McDonald's campaign or a Burger
I thought
King.
there was like a McDonald's or Burger King's campaign for this.
I don't know. Maybe there was, but this would be an odd movie to have it.
Maybe it was another sci-fi space movie at the time, but
I could see something like
Armageddon.
Well, like Armageddon, or something like I'm thinking of Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes, definitely, which came out a year before this.
Yeah.
So this came out in 2002, and this is, you've probably heard the title before, because this is technically a remake of the Tarkovsky film from the 1970s, which is based on a novel from 1961, I believe. And so, interesting backstory about this movie. I may go off on a tangent, you're going to have to stop me.
I will.
James Cameron wanted to direct this movie. Like he's actually a producer on it, and because he acquired the rights to the novel, he wanted to make a remake of Solaris, but he just got caught up in doing other James Cameron things, in the 90s. Titanic. Then of course he went on to work on his Avatar movies for like the last 20 years, actually longer now, more like 25 years. And so he kind of went away from the project, and then Steven Soderbergh kind of picked it up and wanted to make his version of it. And he, along with James Cameron, made this movie. And it's a readaptation of the book, a remake of the movie from Tarkovsky. Ironically, I think one of my earliest episodes of the Unwatched Pile was Solaris by Tarkovsky. And what is interesting is that this movie came out 2002, so it came out after Soderbergh had his run of Traffic and Aaron Brockovich and then Ocean's 11, and then this movie came out. And I feel like this movie's definitely lost in all of that fervor, and it's not really looked on favorably. And I kind of
It
understand why. It's
Yeah,
so
I was gonna
different from
say
those movies.
I've seen it, and I don't remember, like, loving it. And it's hard when you're remaking the movie of kind of a not a well-known filmmaker to the public necessarily, but for cinephiles, they know who Andrei Tarkovsky is, and
Right.
that
It
original movie is kind of like
iconic. Like,
it
it's like a masterpiece.
it's one of his more well-known movies in the sense of why, because, I think he's made Tarkovsky made better movies, but I
Yeah,
think that one's the most kind of,
he he's
worldwide known movie that he
yeah, because
did.
he did other movies like Stalker and oh god,
Mirror
there's so many
and
more. Like,
yeah.
I'm blanking on it, but either way, remaking I mean, there's been tons of remakes of foreign language films, older foreign language films, so it's not out of the realm of possibility, but Solaris is different because the story itself, at least from what I've gathered from watching the original, not the original, but watching the Tarkovsky version and watching this version, it's not going to be something that's going to be for everyone. It is slow, contemplative, thematically rich film. It's not really plot driven. It's not really plot heavy. It's more about the themes, and it's art house cinema. It really is.
Wh
This is
which is, weird to me that James Cameron wanted to make this movie.
Yeah, because when you think James Cameron and you think science fiction, because it is a sci-fi film,
Sure.
it's a sci-fi story. You think of Terminator, you
When you
think of
think of
think
action
of
films.
action film, even Avatar. Yeah,
Yeah.
Avatar, ironically, over the last several days, I watched Avatar: The Way of Water, and then Avatar: Fire and
Why
Ash. So
would you
I've
do
watched
that?
like 10 hours of this.
Why would you do that to
And then I
yourself?
watched this produced by James Cameron. It's been
Oh
James Cameron
god.
Festival over here.
You know me and my relationship with James Cameron. It's not. It's like it's given. I have a love hate because I love some of his films, but he's not only do I not like his philosophy on certain things when it comes to film making, but
Mm.
just like I just think that he's wasting a lot of time with these Avatar movies.
I'll say
But
this, if
go ahead.
it I mean, you say that this would be like, this wouldn't you wouldn't think that James Cameron would make something like this, but his Avatar movies, if anything, uh, like, he hits you over the head with the themes, like, throughout them, you know what I mean?
And
Like,
there's
it's
not.
obvious what he's going for. He
Yeah,
likes thematically rich allegorical films,
yeah,
and
yeah.
Solaris definitely is that type of story.
But I think Solaris, from what I remember, and have seen Tarkovsky's version as well. It's a little more subtle than that.
Yeah, it's
It,
slow,
it's yeah,
subtle, like it's a languishing film, and this film's very much like that.
and
So
it's a contemplate. It's a solid. There's a solitude to the movie because it's just George Clooney.
yeah,
You
and
know,
I don't know if people like this term or not, but there's like high concept sci-fi and high concept fantasy and
yeah,
then other stuff. So like high concept sci-fi would be something like Dune and
yeah,
things like that. Like that's considered a high sci-fi or high fantasy.
or hard sci-fi.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
more of the
So, something
correct
that's
term.
more based in science and not
Yeah, some
necessarily
people don't like
fantasy.
that
Yeah.
sci-fi because it's not, it's not entertaining. It's something like Blade Runner is also like that.
Oh,
That's like
that's more.
hard
That's
sci-fi
yeah.
because you're dealing with
it's bordering it's bordering science fiction because it's got
it's the
like
future, it's
robots and
technology.
things like that are a little bit I'm thinking of something like Interstellar is hard sci-fi.
Mm.
What's the one that Brad Pitt did
Oh,
a few years ago?
the one that I really like, and I'm completely blanking on. Why am I blanking on it?
Yeah, where he goes off into it's very or something like what's the one Matt Damon did?
Oh, The Martian?
The Martian. That's hard sci-fi to me, at least. Like
What are
where
you
it's
doing, Brad Pitt? Let's see. Of
what
course, he's
what
been
are
in
you,
a lot of
what are
things.
you doing, Brad?
I know. Come on, Brad, get it together. Of
We
course,
got to.
the first thing you come up with is that he's a producer on so many different
Oh
things.
yeah, yeah. Plan B is doing everything.
Yes, it
Sorry, we're
does.
going on a side tangent
We're going on
here.
a sidewinder tangent, but Ad Astra is the
Ad
movie.
Astra, yeah.
Ad
So it's
Astra definitely is actually very similar to Solaris. Now that I
yeah,
think
yeah,
about it,
yeah, yeah.
that is not the pairing tonight. I can tell you that.
Yeah, okay, good. I didn't want to spoil it.
But for those of you who don't know this story, so George Clooney plays a psychiatrist, actually, like a medical psychiatrist who is hired to go to this space station that is orbiting this planet called Solaris because something has happened where the crew on this space station has kind of lost their minds. They've they've kind of lost contact with them, uh, and the people the people who are running this research expedition on this space station are kind of wondering what the heck is going on there. So they send, of all people, they send a psychiatrist in George Clooney to the space station orbiting this planet of Solaris. And when he gets there, little spoiler alert here, like most of the crew is either missing or dead, and it's just him and two other people are left on this space station. And he begins to see visions, and and come to find out, other crew members start to see visions of certain things, and you kind of get the idea that they went crazy, and what is the reason why that happened, and and is certain rays from the planet affecting the people as the closer they are and the longer they stay in its orbit? Is that an issue? But what happens is George Clooney starts seeing visions, or a vision, not even visions, kind of like what they call it, like a replacement or like a copy of or something like that of his deceased wife. So automatically this movie is about dealing with grief, past trauma, and stuff like that. And that's kind of the thematic through line throughout this movie. It's the George Clooney character dealing with all of that, and you see a lot of the relationship with his deceased wife in flashback form. And the movie is told in a very slow way. And like I said, it's told in flashback, and it's very like dreamlike and all this kind of stuff. It's rather surreal in that regard. The movie clocks in at only 99 minutes, but it feels longer because of that.
I was gonna say, I remember it feeling long.
It does feel long
Yeah,
because
yeah.
that's kind of the plot of the movie. Nothing else really quite happens. And it drags out for 90 plus minutes. And the movie, for me, the themes are great. Dealing with trauma, dealing with a deceased wife, being rather surreal when it comes to like not being able to disassociate between reality and non-reality, because he starts believing that this woman is in fact his wife come back to life. He cannot, you know, discern between what's real and what's not. And I remember the Tarkovsky film dealing with all of that, but also dealing with a lot more stuff, being a lot more thematically deep and being a lot more artistic in its approach. And what is interesting about this movie, kind of learning about the production of it, it was shot in like May of 2002 and was in theaters by late November. So the quickest turnaround I think I've seen for a movie of its kind. And a lot of that is to do with the fact that Soderbergh, I think, was the director, writer, editor, and cinematographer on this movie as well, like kind of doing his jack of all trades thing, which he does now. But in this movie, perhaps that's why it was a quick turnaround. And I think he was notorious for also shooting or editing the movie as he went. Like that's
Yeah.
kind of what he was notoriously involved in. I think that's kind of what he does to this day, is editing as you go, as opposed to like shooting everything, then getting all the footage and then editing it later in post. He was kind of doing it all along. At least that's my gathering. And what is interesting is that um reteaming with George Clooney after the success of Ocean's 11, and of course they would go on to make the Ocean sequels and all that stuff. Actually, I just saw today. There's an article they're going to be shooting another Ocean's movie next year, and the cast is coming back. George Clooney,
Yeah.
Matt Damon, Julia Roberts, Don Cheadle. I think they're getting everyone who's still around in it, and they're going to be shooting like next fall. So stay tuned for that. But this movie, it's interesting because it's so different from Soderbergh's other work, in my opinion. It's not that he hasn't gone surreal and hasn't gone art house and artsy, because he has.
Oh yeah.
But coming off of these more like mainstream movies, then making this at the time is kind of fascinating. Really, really fascinating. It's not a movie that I dislike. It's a movie actually I really liked a lot. I liked a lot for what it was trying to do.
Initially, it didn't sound like you loved it.
It's a frustrating movie. If you want to put it in letterbox terms, it's kind of a soft 3.5, but more trending towards a 3.
Yeah.
Visually, it looks really, really good. It takes place mostly inside of this space station, but you do get these gorgeous shots of the Solaris planet outside, and these gorgeous shots of like space and things like that, and which I really wish that it had an HD or even 4K release by this point. The fact that it doesn't is still kind of baffling to me because all of his other movies around the time all have gotten all these nice releases.
I wonder if Cameron's,
And
got a
yeah,
hold of it.
I do wonder if James Cameron has the movie. It was originally put out by 20th Century Fox, which of course now is in the hands of Disney.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's held it down, but even then, Blu-ray's been around since the mid 2000s,
Sure.
so it could have had a Blu-ray released at any point between when Blu-ray came out and when Disney took over 20th Century Fox. Could have had a
Sure.
Blu-ray at any point. But either way, it's a movie that it's both frustrating in its approach because I think the story is good. I like the themes and all of that, but there is certain things that you don't quite connect with it. And the movie's really trying hard for you to connect with the George Clooney character and specifically connect with this romance story. Like at the heart of this movie is supposed to be a romance story between he and his deceased wife. That's why a lot of the movie takes place in a flashback type of story structure. And I just don't feel like we connect on that level. So you can't really get a good grasp of his plight or get a good grasp of his anguish over losing his wife and now having to essentially lose her again, perhaps because this is an artificial made up form in his head. And you really don't, the movie doesn't also spend any time explaining why these phenomenons are happening. You're just kind of going along for the ride. Like, why are all of these apparitions happening? And why can you see other people's apparitions too? That's another thing they do not explain. Because everyone else on the space station can see George Clooney interacting with his deceased wife. And they, like, it's interesting. But the other actors in the movie are Viola Davis and I think Jeremy Davies, if I remember if that's his name, from Lost. I think I always forget these people's names. This was, of course, before I think either of those actors are relatively well known. Specifically, Viola Davis. 2002 was before really having her breakout role in movies like Doubt and things like that. And of course, her being a more household name now. Is it? Let's see. Yeah, it is Jeremy Davies. I was right. But Jeremy Davies is mostly known as a TV actor, at least because I remember him from Lost as well as other projects. But he was also in Saving Private Ryan. He's the character in Saving Private Ryan who is incredibly nervous and skittish about doing anything.
Yeah.
And then he was also in the movie. It's another Soderbergh connection. Secretary, the movie with James Spader and Maggie Gyllenhaal. He's in that as well. The reason why it's a Soderbergh connection is because James Spader was in his Sex, Lies, and Videotape, his kind of indie breakout film, which is a film that I love a lot. But as for Solaris, like I said, it's a more interesting experimental remake of an all-time classic. And I kind of appreciate it for that regard. I appreciate Soderbergh for taking these large swings towards it. And I don't think it's an awful movie in any regard. It's different, but it's not for everyone. Like I said, slow paced. Got to be patient with it. If it's not your type of sci-fi, then I don't think it would be for you. But I'm glad I finally watched it because, like I said, it's been in my collection forever and ever. Hopefully, we get a Blu-ray eventually.
Hey,
yeah.
Josie.
Josie is here. She says, "Hello, Andrew and Steven. Sorry I'm late to chiming in. Saw Marty Supreme today. I obviously loved it. Oh, absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
I've actually just saw Marty Supreme yesterday. So we are in the
Oh,
same.
I hate all you people that have time and availability.
Like I said, well, I was catching up on things, so I saw that yesterday.
Yeah.
It'll be on my year-end list. I gotta go add it to it after this.
All right.
So, Steven, what is your pick for this week?
Well, I got the I got the chance because I got it in not that long ago to put a Christmas movie. Now, I don't think it's a Christmas movie necessarily. This is one of them situations where it's Christmas time when things are happening, so we counted as a Christmas movie, just like Die Hard, just like a lot of movies. But we'll do it anyway. And it's one of the movies I thought I seen, but I don't think I've seen it. And that's The Long Kiss Goodnight. This just had an Arrow release. You can see I picked it up, starring Gina Davis and Sam Jackson. And this movie came out in, let me make sure I get my date right. I think it was 96. So this film, like I said, stars Gina Davis, and she, at the beginning of the film, there's a voiceover. This is written by Shane Black, so we know it's got a noir aspect to it. Even
no wonder why it was set at Christmas time.
Exactly.
He's got an infatuation with that.
Yeah, he's got a thing. He has to put I'm sure it was even Christmas time in Predator. I'm sure it was, I
don't remember. I can tell you it was Christmas time in Iron Man 3.
Yeah, Iron Man 3, Lethal Weapons always got some Christmas in it. At least the first one did. But so it's got a little bit of voiceover. Gina Davis is talking about her life, and she's like living with this family. She's got a daughter, talking about her life and how she's got, and this isn't a spoiler. This is in the first fucking 5 minutes of the movie, and it's probably part of the trailer too. Is that she's got amnesia. And so she don't really know what her life was before meeting this family, but she loves her life and everything's great. And then she gets in a car accident, and then she starts to kind of things start to come back to her, things about her life, and come to find out in her past life, she might have been some kind of government assassin. And Sam Jackson plays this, what would you call him? I don't even know what to call him. He's like, he's a schemer. He goes around trying to make money off of people that are
a con man.
He's a con man, I guess. Yeah, he's a con man. You don't get much of him being a con man in the movie. He just kind of once he gets involved with the Gina Davis character, he becomes like a really good dude. The rest of the movie, he's just trying to help her the whole movie, and I'm like, he's not really that bad of a guy. But so it's one of them, it's kind of a trope, the amnesia film trope that gets thrown into an action movie. Gina Davis is one of my favorite actresses of all time. I love her in everything, whether it's The Fly or League of Their Own or Beetlejuice. She's one of my favorites. And this is a solid dude. I mean, I was kind of mad watching this. I was like, why did I wait so long? I mean, it's not a great movie, but it's so fucking entertaining. It's so awesome. The action in the movie is awesome. And especially the end, it gets so over the top. They're on a bridge. There's helicopters. It's crazy. But it's so fun. And there's some great one-liners. There's one scene where she's trying to go back to her house and retrieve a key that she needs. And she runs into this neighborhood kid who's smoking secretly in her backyard, and she comes across him as if you tell anybody I was here, I'll shoot you in the fucking head. And I'm just like, yes, that was great. That was great. So I don't know. There's not much to say other than I thought it was a good time. This was one of my favorite in the sense of just good time watches.
Yeah, it's film. Kind of an underrated 90s neo-noir action movie.
Yeah.
That I don't think gets talked about very much. I think it kind of gets drowned out by a lot of other more more well-known 90s action movies, things like Point Break and Speed and the various other sci-fi movies we had at the time that were action movies as well. But this is directed by Renny Harlin, who did Cliffhanger with Stallone.
He's done a lot of stuff you would know. Yeah.
Cutthroat Island. He also did Die Hard 2.
He did the last couple the Stranger movies, didn't he?
He did. Yeah. I mean, he also did Deep Blue Sea, which is another Arrow release from this year. It's because they got a nice Renny Harlin, double.
His movies are not good, not always good, but they're entertaining. There's a lot of entertaining stuff in there. So like,
Yeah, very much so. I think even just looking at some of his earlier stuff, and then even his more recent stuff, like like you're saying, he is still directing with the Strangers Chapter 1, the Strangers Chapter 2. A lot of his other stuff, like Skip Trace, not great. Legend
yeah,
of Hercules, not great. But needless to say, that's more modern day stuff, so whatever. But yeah,
yeah.
he's kind of
And
underrated
one of the
action director from the
Yeah,
90s.
yeah, and one of the other aspects that I didn't say in the storyline is that basically, like, her past is catching up with her. Obviously, there's people
Yes,
that
it's one of those types of movies.
yeah, one of the people see her on TV. She was, like, in, like, some Christmas time, parade, and so the villains of the story see her on TV by accident, by happenstance, and now
You want
now the other assassins from her past are coming to get her, and so the all the things going on starts to jigger her memory back. And so the movie becomes, not only is it an action movie, but I think it's a movie about identity. It's about,
right?
somebody.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
I was gonna say a movie, but I was like, that could be a possible,
maybe, maybe.
possible. It could be a
Yeah.
possible team up.
Um,
Which
so,
I didn't want
so,
to reveal it, but then
yeah,
say there,
it's fine. It's fine.
yeah, there have been movies where that is a plot point. Amnesia,
Exactly.
you get your memories back, and all of a sudden you're a completely different person. Gina Davis, I think is an underrated actress too.
It's not. She's not even under. Wait,
I,
for sure, she's underrated in the sense of
Underrated from a modern perspective because
she.
she hasn't been in a lot of things lately, so people don't talk about her as much as they used to.
Well, also, she was never really like, she never won an Oscar, I don't think, or
No,
anything.
I don't believe so either.
She's been
No.
so kind of like underrated, I think, her whole career. But she's always picking interesting roles that are not your typical, like I said, The Fly and League of Their Own, a sports film, doing a majority of different roles. And I watched one of the features in here, which was kind of focused in on her and the fact that she's she's very much a feminist. She's an advocate for trying to bring more female roles into the, she's really very much in that space, and even to today trying to push for more
I
roles
was
for
gonna say,
women and minorities.
I believe she has a whole company that's
Yes.
dedicated to that.
Yep.
Women in film, specifically women representation in film being
Yeah.
a really big thing that's come around in the last decade or so. I would say a lot of people being more aware of women's roles in film and women's roles throughout the history of movies in general. That's a whole other thing because women have been actually very integral to the history of movies,
Yeah.
going back to like the silent era.
Of course.
Which is very fascinating if you don't know a lot about those things. So Gina Davis is kind of an all-time great. I've never heard anybody say they don't like Gina Davis.
Yeah, I know, right?
Thelma and Louise, obviously being another
one. Yep.
all-time one. Yeah, I've always been a big fan of Gina Davis.
She might be actually, honestly, we talk about it now. She's probably my favorite actress of all time.
Oh,
I mean, like honestly, definitely one of the top actors. I mean, actors in general, but definitely probably my favorite actress. And then, like, I've always said Robin Williams is my favorite actor. Like, them two, I love.
Interestingly enough, is I think Gina Davis was just at my local Comic-Con.
Really?
Yes. And her, Alec Baldwin was there, and you could get like pictures with them, and it'd be a whole like Beetlejuice reunion thing and whatnot.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, now that I think about it, yeah, she was there. But anywho, yeah, that's good. That's a good.
Yeah, it's a cool movie. It was a great pickup. Like I said, probably the funnest. Because going back through the year, looking at what I picked up and what I watched in the sense of first time watches, this is the closest to like a fun blockbustery type of movie that I watched.
I wonder where it's going to rank on your list.
Oh, we'll see. Yeah, we're gonna get into that soon.
See. So that's The Long Kiss Goodnight, and I remember a lot of people being very happy and excited, a lot of buzz when that was announced coming out from Arrow, and I know a lot of people bought it. I know a lot of people bought that release.
I was surprised the limited edition was still available, so I was like, oh, okay.
No, there you go. But I guess we'll move on to my pairing.
Do it.
So my pairing.
I have a guess too. So, but
go. Do you now? You know what's crazy? You could have. There was actually. This is one of the movies where I had so many more ideas to pair it up with than I think most of the other movies I watched this year for Unwatched Pile, because I was latching on to one specific idea, and this idea that going into space and then crazy things happening and you go insane. Like that was my thing, because that's
Okay.
kind of what happens in Solaris. Um, and I'm like, okay, what's a movie that happens? But I was also thinking, since Solaris is a slower, more contemplative movie, drags on for about 90 plus minutes, and it's going to be like kind of an art housey type of situation. You need something to follow it up that's going to maybe be a little more exciting, something that's going to like jolt you awake if you've zonked out a little bit while watching Solaris,
Okay.
from Steven Soderbergh. And I was like, you know what, let me go with the movie Event Horizon,
Okay. This is not
the
what I was thinking of.
uh, the the horror film by Paul W.S. Anderson, not to be
Yeah.
confused with Paul Thomas Anderson, which people do many a
I
time.
I was thinking Gravity, because
That's another one. I did that. Yeah, Gravity.
I also thought Sunshine might sneak in there.
You know what's crazy? Sunshine was actually the first movie I thought of.
Yeah.
That was the first movie I thought of. And I was thinking, and then before I even started watching the movie, I was thinking, you know, surreal space sci-fi movie. I was thinking Interstellar, which you mentioned earlier, but as I was watching the movie, I was like, it doesn't quite fit with Interstellar.
No, no, no.
Interstellar actually pairs up much closer and much better with the original, with Tarkovsky's Stalker, than it does with this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
You mean Solaris?
Solaris, yeah, Solaris.
Stalker.
I had Stalker on the mind for some reason, but Event Horizon is a movie that I saw at way too young an age, probably late at night on HBO. And this is a movie that is a bit of I don't know if you want to call it a cult classic or a cult movie from modern times. But this movie is part of the sci-fi horror subgenre. And what happens in this film is this crew goes to this ship that is known as the Event Horizon, and essentially to find out what happened. The Event Horizon was a ship, I think, that went to explore the deep parts of space. Keep in mind, it's been many years since I've seen it, and then it disappeared, and then now it's reappeared. So this crew's been sent out to this ship to find out what happened, and what has happened is kind of nuts. Kind of nuts. Spoilerish for a nearly 30-year-old movie. If I remember correctly, this ship ended up going to like this hell dimension, where it's kind of like Hellraiser in space, and then in which all the crew was tortured and killed ruthlessly, and then the ship came back, but there's some type of evil entity still remaining on the ship, and now that this new crew has gone on it, they're starting to be infected mentally by all of this. Not just the horrific scenes of the aftermath of like blood and all this kind of stuff, but just mentally, literally, they're like starting to go insane.
Yeah.
I remember specifically watching this movie because Sam Neill was in it, and I remember him from Jurassic Park, and I was like, oh, it's the guy from Jurassic Park. Needless to say, he goes absolutely nuts in this movie. Not Alan Grant at all from Jurassic Park.
More possession.
More possession. But he has this whole story of him and remembering like his wife and their relationship, and man, this movie's kind of nuts. And needless to say, this is the collector's edition from Scream Factory / Shout Factory, and there is a 4K available of this through Paramount, but it has none of the special features that this collector's edition has. So you're better off buying this if you want to watch the movie. There is also apparently a there's, I don't know if it's a director's cut or extended cut or just deleted scenes that were supposed to be on this release and were never included, which actually made the movie even darker and like borderline like NC-17. Like it was supposed to be, this movie was supposed to be, from what I understand, to be even more brutal than it ended up being. It was essentially going to be like Hellraiser in space. And the movie gives off that type of vibe. So I remember seeing this movie, like I said, at way too young an age, and it stuck with me for many, many years, to the point where I've now owned it several times over. Who else is in this movie, if I remember correctly? It's Sam Neill, Lawrence Fishburne is in it. A couple of other actors. I'm not sure if people remember, but anywho, it's Paul W.S. Anderson's. I think it's his first movie, because this was before,
definitely one of the first movies.
It was before he did all of those Resident Evil films, and he and Mila Jovovich.
Mortal Kombat.
Did he do Mortal? Oh, he did do Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
He did do Mortal Kombat. I think that predates this
Yeah,
by a couple of years. I'm trying to remember which year this came out. I want
97.
to say, well, for some reason I want to say like 99, but I think it's a little earlier than that. Let's see. Event Horizon came out 97. Okay.
Damn, Steven.
Damn.
Damn.
Damn. So this was, like I said, of course, this was before all of that, all of the Resident Evil
And
movies.
Mortal Kombat was what, 95?
Yeah, Mortal Kombat was 95. He did not do Mortal Kombat Annihilation. I'm pretty sure because then he did
No, he
was
didn't do
doing
the
Event
second
Horizon
one.
instead.
Yeah.
And then he would do Resident Evil in 2002, then Alien versus Predator in 2004. He did Death Race, which is kind of a fun movie. And then
He's not known for being a great filmmaker necessarily, but he's like a fun action picture director, you know.
he
Like
kind of makes B-movie action films, but
Yeah.
with A budgets.
Yeah.
And he's got that slow-mo style that was introduced with The Matrix, but then he just kept doing it over and over again, even way past the point where people were using it in movies anymore. He just kept doing it. Like he did a Three Musketeers 3D movie. I don't know if you remember that one, Steven. That was a divine.
I try not to.
I think that was definitely him. Yeah, 2011 when 3D made its big old comeback. He did a 3D Three Musketeers movie, and it had like slow mo in it and stuff. I think Mila Jovovich was in that as well. But if you want to, but before all that, he did Event Horizon, and I've always come back to this movie when I'm thinking of good space horror sci-fi. That's not Alien or Aliens or Predator. If you want something else, I always go with Event Horizon. But this movie has surreal elements to it. That's why I think it connects with Solaris in that regard. It also connects with it in the fact that you're dealing with, mental horrors in space that change who you are and kind of drive you insane. That's in here. But this movie is obviously more entertaining, I would say, than Solaris by Steven Soderbergh is. So I went with Event Horizon just to shake people up after the more art housey.
Yeah,
type
you
of
got to
movie.
wake them up after that Solaris movie put them to sleep.
Right. So this
But,
this is the double feature if you want like a little like swinging in one direction, then you swing back the other one.
Yeah, it's a pendulum.
With Event Horizon.
It's a pendulum double feature. All right. So we alluded to it earlier. I'm not going to hide it. My choice to pair with A Long Kiss Goodnight is the first Bourne Identity. I do have this nice collector set. It includes all of them, including the Jeremy Renner spinoff Bourne film. But the one I want to focus on here is the first one, the first Bourne Identity. I believe it was 2002 came out. So right after 9/11. And I think that not only is this choice good to pair with this movie, but I think it's also a good pairing in general when it comes to talking about action movies, because you got Long Kiss Goodnight that I think comes from an old guard style action film. You know, how it's filmed and how it's set up and how your characters are kind of how they're characterized and everything like that. But we all know, if we look at our film history, that the Bourne Identity changed the game. When the Bourne Identity came out, we were looking at a different world, as I said, post 9/11, and our hero is different. And I think from then after this film, whether it was how we portrayed James Bond or how we portrayed even Ethan Hunt in Mission Impossible, he very much, this character of Jason Bourne in the Bourne franchise influenced action films going forward. More hyper realistic. The hero character is kind of more stoic, more calculating, and just it's just undeniably a very influential film. And so I think it's fun to have that as a dichotomy in the double feature. But also, of course, these are both movies about people that are secret assassins that have amnesia to start with the film. Now, of course, in Long Kiss Goodnight, she kind of, I would say her kind of relationship with her amnesia is a little bit more playful. It's kind of played up as fun. And she kind of like her assassin character is more like almost like a Jekyll and Hyde. She's very, like heartless and cutthroat and like, but in the Bourne Identity, the Jason Bourne character is, he's just a man trying to find out what's going on the whole movie. He wants to know who he is, but he wants to know why everyone's trying to kill him. And as it goes on, it's more about questioning. By the end of it, it's about questioning, what his life is, and actually deciding to step away from it. Which is very parallel with A Long Kiss Goodnight as well, when you watch, if you haven't seen that film. But I rewatched, I even had a chance to rewatch Bourne Identity. It's been a minute since I watched it. Dude, I love that movie. I honestly,
it holds up pretty well.
It does. And people look at the sequels, and honestly, I remember really liking Ultimatum the most.
Yeah, Ultimatum's always been like kind of the cream of the crop for me.
And it's honestly, it's kind of a forgotten, I think in a way, a forgotten trilogy as being one of the best trilogies.
Because they went on to do more of them.
Well, of course, but we still talk about like the Raiders, the first 3 Raiders films, as being a perfect trilogy. Or, we can negate the spinoffs and the extra sequel that we didn't need. But the first 3 films, that storyline, it's fantastic. And honestly, like, I'm going to rewatch the other 2 now that I've just watched the first one. But that first Bourne Identity movie, directed by Doug Liman, by the way. Paul Greengrass did the next 2, and he has a different style, especially when it comes to the action. A little bit more quick cutty, a little bit more shaky. I don't love that.
Yeah,
I think what Doug Liman does in this film makes it's a lot cleaner. It's a lot more easy to watch, especially the action. And that's why I like it. I think I might like it more than the other 2 films now. So
interesting. Yeah, interesting. Well, because I remember seeing, I think I saw Bourne Identity. What was the second one? Bourne Supremacy, and then Bourne Ultimate. I saw all 3 of them in the theater. I had them all on DVD, I think. And actually, I think Bourne Identity was actually one of the first DVDs I ever bought, because it came out around that early era when I was, I just got my first DVD player probably in 2001, and Bourne Identity would have come out the next year. But the first movie was done by Doug Liman, like Steven said. It also introduced the idea of shaky cam as being a thing in action movies, which I think lasted pretty much throughout the decade of the 2000s.
Yeah.
If you look back at the 2000s, shaky cam was used so much. Even into the early 2010s, it was used, because I remember the first Hunger Games movie had shaky cam, and that was 2011. And then after that, shaky cam kind of went away. We went back to more traditional, shooting action movies and whatnot. But the Bourne franchise notorious for that shaky cam stuff. But yeah, after that trilogy, you got the Jeremy Renner one, which is what's that one called? Like, I forgot what it was called.
The Bourne.
Yeah, it should be in that box set.
It is.
Ironically, I have a poster of it. Paid way too much for that poster.
Bourne Legacy.
Bourne Legacy, when they tried to like not reboot the franchise, but tried to like let's start it with this other character. And spin-off. And what's interesting is that Bourne Legacy and Bourne Ultimatum, the events happen at the same time.
Yeah.
It was one of those types of situations. So there would be moments of Bourne Legacy where you would see, I think, like things that were happening in Bourne Ultimatum.
Yeah.
I remember Bourne Ultimatum being just incredible, because it was like
a great
culmination
movie.
of this Jason Bourne story, because each movie, like, you find out a little bit more about its backstory. You find out about Treadstone. You find out about the government, like Treadstone, the government organization that he was working for, and why did he get involved in it? What was it all about? All this kind of stuff, and it's Then of course, I actually never saw the most recent one, and the one that they. Called
the one where they just call it Jason Bourne, just like they did Rocky Balboa.
Yeah, it's the Rocky Balboa of Jason Bourne films. I remember also the first movie had Franca Potente in it, who was in Run Lola Run.
Yeah, yep.
She's in the second movie for a little bit of a time. And yeah, I've always liked the Bourne movies. I've always really liked them a lot. So that was actually the movie that I immediately thought of when thinking about the
Yeah,
movie.
I can tell you said it.
I almost said it, and I'm like, oh,
You
I'm gonna ruin
basically
it if I
said
say
it.
it.
No, it's okay. It's all right.
Uh,
I mean, like, honestly, the only other thing that I mean, I could have delved deeper, but like the only other movie I thought about pairing it with was actually History of Violence.
oh,
Being that there is, I mean, he doesn't have amnesia. It's like he's choosing to be a different person, but their lifestyle choices are similar. They're both part of a family, living kind of the small town lifestyle, and he's choosing to kind of hide away from the people that he used to work for. And so it would have been kind of like a little bit of a contrasty choice. And usually that's the route I go. And I like to pick things that kind of like are the same, but also different. But I decided that the Bourne Identity was so fun and such a fun choice, and a little bit more of the vibe I was wanting to go for with this pairing. That's where I went. So yeah, I mean, yeah, Bourne. I can't wait to watch the other two. It's been a minute, and that was just so fun rewatching because he's just so bad. Matt Damon is so fucking badass in these movies.
what's
Like,
interesting is that, we know Matt Damon today because obviously he's more of a household name, but this is 2002,
yeah,
and he hadn't really done action films at this point in his
no,
career. I
no,
mean,
just
he
mostly dramas. Yeah.
mostly drama. I mean, up to this point, of course, Good Will Hunting. He had done Rounders. He had a small role in Saving Private Ryan towards the end of that movie.
Talented Mr. Ripley.
The Talented Mr. Ripley. And then he, of course, was in Ocean's 11 in 2001, but he was not. That's not an action movie per se. It's a heist film.
Yeah.
So up until that point, Matt Damon wasn't really an action guy. And then after this movie, he of course did a bunch of the sequels, but he would do the Green Zone. He would do what's the Neil Blomkamp movie that he did?
Oh, God,
It's not Elysium.
Elysium.
Elysium, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Ironically, my dad watched that movie for the first time this past year on a plane. And he was like, what's that movie with Matt Damon? And I'm like, I have no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah.
My dad is one of those people where he will just mention random aspects of a movie, oftentimes wrong, and you've got to kind of piece it together like it's a massive jigsaw puzzle. Because he'll get actors confused with each other.
Yeah, my dad
doesn't help.
I can see that being me eventually. I mean, I think I'm even doing that now, honestly. But yeah, I mean, he's so good at just being like, he can be smart because we've seen him in Good Will Hunting. He can have that vibe, but he's got that. He's always a step ahead of everybody, and the way that the movie portrays that, you see him kind of like go through the steps when you think anybody like he goes into a bank and he's surrounded, everybody's about to come after him in this building, but you get to see the step-by-step way he finds a way out.
Right.
He takes out a guard, takes his radio.
And what's really cool is the movie really plays the mystery keeps it covered for a good amount of time.
Yeah.
Like it's not one of those where like they'll frame it so that you already kind of know what's going on. They don't really frame the Bourne Identity. You learn about the mystery is revealed as it's revealed to Matt Damon's character. It's also revealed to yourself as a viewer, which is a nice kind of way to write that story, as opposed to telling us already what the character doesn't know. So you're discovering it all along. That's why I always really enjoyed that movie.
It's how you connect with the character.
It puts you in the movie.
You're with him in the movie. The other connection, and also Brian Cox is in both of these films.
Nice.
So little Brian Cox connection. But yeah, that is my pairing. Have fun with that, guys. And now that we've done both of our last Unwatched Piles of the year, we are now going to go back into the Unwatched Pile machine and rank our favorite first-time watches. So let's start from 12.
12
we'll
to
go
1.
down we'll go 12, each do our 12s. You start with you.
All right. So do we going to go like I do mine, you do
one,
yours?
I do one.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. So, don't really have to spend a lot of time.
Let's not talk about each thing. We just go through them
Yeah, I would
kind
say
of
it's not.
quickly.
I'm not going to be spending a lot of time on this one because it's Solaris. That'll be at number 12. Just
That's
talked
what
about it.
I just talked about this baby.
And like I said, it's not like I hated the movie or I
Yeah,
thought it was terrible. It's just out of all the ones that I saw, this
yeah.
one's like
And,
obviously at the bottom.
and I will say, for me at least, I'm sure Andrew would be willing to do it as well. I'm going to start putting these on my Letterboxd. So if you want to go find Steven at Steven _ Billings, you can follow me on my Letterboxd, and I'm going to put the list of my rankings on there and the double features as well. So you can go there and find the lists there. My number 12 is one I did this was a pretty early one in the year, Master of the House. Now, the only reason, I looked at my rating of this, I think it was a 3 or something. To be honest with you, the reason I had to put this at 12 is that, like, I barely remember the movie.
Hmm.
I was like,
To be honest, I don't remember a lot of what I did earlier in the year. It's kind of a blur.
I mean,
gotcha.
like, I remember a good amount, but like, if I don't remember the movie, that's a sign that I probably didn't necessarily connect with it that well. So I'm gonna have to put it lower on the list. But I know this is a Car Theodore Dreyer film, so I know I liked it to an extent because he's such a good filmmaker. But this one probably just didn't hit me as hard. So this one's my number 12.
All right, so my number 11 is actually one we talked about last month, and that is No Way Out. This kind of neo-noir political thriller from the 1980s, starring Kevin Costner. Um, like I said at the time, I really really liked it, but kind of a more traditional political thriller for its time.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I put at number 11.
This one wasn't my number 11's. Wasn't that, it was maybe a few months ago. And this I guess this one's a little bit of a hot take of being low on my list
Ooh.
because I didn't love this movie like I think a lot of people did. And that's Dark City.
That is the hot take of the day.
Yeah, I know. It's just a big cult sci-fi classic, and I was excited to check this out. And I didn't hate the movie, but it really kind of like wasn't quite what I was hoping for. And and honestly, I didn't have expectations, but like it just didn't. It was kind of. I thought it kind of reminds me of how I feel about what's the Brandon Lee the Crow. I have the same feelings about this movie as I feel about The Crow. That they're both just very cheesy and kind of 90s kind of trash to me.
Oh,
I mean, they're like very kind of like lo-fi sci-fi for me. Even though this is very high concept, and I know there's some effects that are kind of for their time were kind of cool, but like I don't find them to be that interesting. I didn't find it to be that interesting as I was hoping it to be. I'll give it a rewatch one day, but Dark City just kind of disappointed me. So that was my 11.
Okay, my number 10 is the Steven Spielberg film War Horse. Once again, kind
That
of
upsets me. You put that so low.
Yeah, what's interesting is, to be honest, I'm looking at my list now, and I'm like, I could have put it up one more spot, but it's not really relevant. But yeah, with Spielberg, what you get, amazing technical filmmaking at its highest. He's kind of a master of that. What you also get with Spielberg is, over sentimentality, stuff like that, and maybe that detracts a little bit from it. Also, like this, certain aspects of the movie fit together a little bit too well, considering what we're seeing on screen. But like I said, masterful filmmaking from Spielberg. Kind of another one of his most underrated movies of his modern kind of run, I think. I put this right up there with a lot of his other modern underrated stuff, like War of the Worlds, Minority Report, Catch Me If You Can.
Okay, that makes me feel better. You say stuff like that.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's overlooked, but I don't think it should be because it is a masterfully well done movie. So that's my number. What are we at? Number 10? Yes.
Yeah. My number 10. This is a filmmaker I'm still trying to get into more, and that's John Sayles. Baby, It's You. A solid movie, solid. I think you'll see later. This might get brought up later in our double features favorites. I like the pairing. I think makes this movie more enjoyable because of the together that makes them both stronger. Because I think the second film is better, but Baby It's You is a solid kind of like coming of age, kind of female, point of view type of movie. Where you get like typically in these type of films, it's a male gaze type of thing, but this is more like the female perspective, and I like that. I just think that I remember there being some like it didn't go far enough, maybe, or some things about it I wish it would have done, but still really solid film. So maybe it choose my number 10.
Okay, my number 9 is the movie WUSA, the movie starring Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward. Obviously, I'm 100% biased on this because Paul Newman's my favorite actor, and
Yeah.
This is one of the movies. Actually, it's directed by Stuart Rosenberg. For some reason, I thought it was directed by him, but it's not. And it stars his then wife, Joanne Woodward, as well, and he plays like an alcoholic disc jockey who's just being paid to say like not true political stuff on the radio. And it's incredibly contemporary when it comes to those types of situations, specifically political themes and whatnot. I really liked it. Anthony Perkins is in the film as well, who's I think is an underrated actor in my opinion. But yeah, that's WUSA.
Cool. This one, when I think back about watching this one, I mean, initially, I think I would have put this lower on my list, but I think I have to have at least some respect for it. So I put it almost mid-tier here as my number 9. And that's Waking Life from Richard Linklater. I have so much respect. I love him as a filmmaker so much that even though this movie is a little hard to get through on your first time watching it, because it is a very experimental kind of, it's the rotoscope and it's kind of like a fluidity. It's like a really fluent film. It's not really, there's no narrative. It's not following a specific storyline. It's something that you have to be really in tune with to watch it. I think maybe a rewatch will add something for this for me, but like, I was glad I watched it. And so I had to at least put it here. This is where it fits in at number 9.
And my number 8 is a Studio Ghibli film, and this is Whisper of the Heart. It's a really sweet, really good, very, I would say, relatively contemporary coming-of-age movie about this young girl who is trying to find her way in the world, trying to find her identity, trying to find her passions in life, and trying to just discover herself. It's, like I said, coming-of-age story, but it's done in a magical Studio Ghibli type of way, which is incredibly unique to that studio and to this to that animation style. I believe this was written by Hayao Miyazaki, not directed by Hayao Miyazaki. It's directed by Yoshifumi Kondo, and I really, really like the movie. I remember pairing this up with Lady Bird. So if you like the movie Lady Bird, I think this one would definitely be in that realm for you.
All right. My next one, I got a chance to delve into that big old Capra set and pulled out You Can't Take It With You. This was really, I mean, Capra is just, I can't wait to get more into that set because Capra is a filmmaker that has just this like kind of optimism I love that you don't get a lot, especially in movies today. This was just a really enjoyable watch. You got James Stewart, Lionel Barrymore, and it's a fun, one of them fun kind of like mismatched family situations. I love stories like that. They're a fun light watch. Can't Take It With You. Coming in number 8.
My number, where are we at? 7. Yes. 7 is another Studio Ghibli film, and that is The Tale of Princess Kaguya. Beautiful animation, absolutely stunning. Animation that is, kind of drawn in this laid back, almost, non-detailed style, and it's beautiful to look at. And this is a movie that that's really tough to describe to people at the point where it's about family. It's about, this young girl who's trying to be something she's not, and it's dealing with a lot of classism and stuff like that as well, but beautifully told, very culturally expressive in terms of its themes. Really love the movie, The Tale of Princess Kaguya.
All right. Another one with a kind of one that was waiting in the wings when I needed to see, and I jumped at the chance to watch this for this show because we got it from Criterion. It was a recent Criterion release, and that's Altered States.
Nice.
Ken Russell, Yeah, this movie didn't land with me like I was hoping necessarily, but it's an unforgettable movie, and that's something that's important to me when it comes to first time watches, especially is like even if I didn't love the movie, is there something about it that stuck with me? Did it make me feel something? Did it show me something I've never seen? And this film shows you a lot of images and a lot of ideas that you don't see in a lot of films. And so I think that alone makes the movie worth more watches. And I'm glad I own it.
Nice, nice. So my number 6 is Cleopatra, the epic of epics, the classic of classics, the monumental movie that bankrupted a studio.
Yeah,
It's Cleopatra. If you think of opulence of Hollywood, you think of epic story filmmaking, you think of just grand, massive productions, you think of Cleopatra. Starring the one and only Elizabeth Taylor as Cleopatra. You have Richard Burton as Mark Antony. You have Rex Harrison as Julius Caesar. This movie is massive. It's massive in scope and massive in length. 251 minutes is the runtime for this massive movie. Hence why it took me so many years to finally watch it, because that is a large chunk of time to dedicate to watching one movie. But damn, if it's not a heck of a journey. So yeah, Elizabeth Taylor, stunning on screen, one of the greatest actresses of all time, one of my all-time favorites. And like I said, this is the movie that bankrupted a studio. So you kind of have to see it just for its historical purposes, even if you're not into like historical epics. But yeah, Cleopatra is my number 6.
yeah, and how long is that movie?
251 minutes.
Yeah. So I'm thinking like, you know what, this next Unwatched Pile year, I need to try to get into because like I tend to go for some of the shorter movies,
I
and that's
understand
only
that.
because of time. But I need to try to I have a lot of longer films that I could be going into, and I should probably try to do that in the next year. So, but my number 6, is that where we're at? Number 6.
Yeah, I just did my number 6. You do your number 6.
Okay. This comes from the World Noir set from Radiance Films. We have Witness in the City. It's right there in the middle. This film is kind of a French noir where you had a man who was taking kind of vengeance on the person that killed his wife. And after doing that, he kind of gets kind of caught after doing the act. And so he then spends the rest of the night trying to silence the person that doesn't know that they witnessed something. They didn't witness the act, but they witnessed him there at the place. So he would be placed at the place where somebody was murdered. So he has to try to shut him up. So he spends the whole rest of the movie trying to catch this person. It's a really, really cool noir, of course, really well shot. Really enjoyed it.
Nice.
Witness in the City.
Nice. Yeah, my number 5, coincidentally, you talked about a John Sayles film earlier. I'm talking about one myself, and that is City of Hope. City of Hope is a John Sayles film from, when was it, 1991, I think? Anywho, the 90s. John Sayles has really become one of my favorite just movie people over the last couple of years. He really knows how to write a really deeply layered screenplay. And his films are deeply, deeply layered films in terms of thematic depth and just the interaction of the characters. He knows how to compile a story and make all these pieces fit very, very well without the movie falling apart. And that's actually really tough to do because I've seen where other people have tried to attempt those things and they can't do it. But City of Hope is a movie that takes place in a modern urban setting, I believe, like in mid-sized New York City. And it is about the people within it and how they are connected, whether it is people in City Hall, whether it is people who are just living on the streets, whether it is people who are in some sort of like dirty organized crime, like low-level organized crime situation, how all of these people interact and connect with one another around certain elements. Excellent movie. Excellent movie. Yeah, get this Blu-ray if you can, put out by Sony. It's a really great film.
Awesome. My next one is one I'd had in my collection pretty good amount of time. I needed to check it out. Buddies, very isolating film about, of course, the AIDS crisis of that time. it's a movie that really, as it goes on, and once again, I think it's strengthened by the pairing I put it with. It's a really an interesting film about like going into a situation and having one perspective, but by the time being open-minded, and by the time you're done with it, you've changed, you've kind of transformed your perspective and become a better person for it. And I think that that's something I took a lot from Buddies. So good film.
Yeah, my number 4 is the Alejandro Jodorowsky film Santa Sangre. The Chilean madman once again makes a maddening movie. In Santa Sangre, came out in 1989. This is the Severin release from a couple of years ago. This is their big old deluxe edition. And this movie, you talk about surreal filmmakers, you talk about Jodorowsky is one of the most notorious ones. And this movie is about a guy who gets out of a mental hospital and returns to his family found family, but his mother is in a circus, and he goes back to her, and you find out that she's incredibly controlling and manipulative over him for certain reasons that happened in the past. It gets very surreal, it gets very violent, it gets very interestingly Oedipal at times. It's a whole big thing. But Santa Sangre, a unique film from a unique director in Jodorowsky.
Awesome. Don't need to say much about this one because we just talked about it. Long Kiss Goodnight, my number 4. One of the, I think maybe the funnest movie on my list of the year. Just a super entertaining watch.
Nice. So my number 3 is Parallel Mothers, the film by Pedro Almodovar, starring his very frequently used actress in Penelope Cruz. The movie is, it's kind of in the title. It's about motherhood. It's about family. It's about certain decisions and certain themes you have to, themes that are delved into in this movie in those regards. And yeah, you get a parallel motherhood story. It's really right in the title.
It's in there.
But Penelope Cruz is an excellent actress. Her pairing with Pedro Almodovar is one of the best modern pairings of actor and actress that you could possibly find, and really good movie. Just fantastic acting, great story, great all around. Yeah, he is one of my favorite, current directors in Almodovar.
All right, I'm gonna jump over to a one that this one had been sitting in my collection for a good while. I was glad I finally got to it. And it was because of a couple criterions by the same director that made me jump over to him, and that's Rust and Bone. And I just thought this was a super moving film, and that it, whenever there's movies about two people that are kind of broken coming together and finding a way to like help each other in some way, I always love films like that because that's real. That's real life. That happens all the time, and sometimes it goes the wrong way. But in this case, these two people come together and find the best in each other and make each other better. So, really moving film, really real film. Love it. Rust and Bone.
My number 2 is actually something inspired by Steven himself, and this is Afterlife, the Hirokazu Koreeda film.
Yes.
I waited too long to watch this movie.
Yeah.
As you can see, this is the Criterion.
I basically made him watch this.
I was
movie.
waiting, I guess, for the right moment, and I guess the right moment did come along this year. So this is the Japanese film. This is a movie that is, talk about timeless, and dealing with almost out of time. You know what I mean? I talked about time earlier, as I do often, but this is a movie dealing with the afterlife, in which when you pass away, you are stuck in this limbo-ish area until you complete this task. And this task is to pick one cherished memory from your life that you want to take with you into the afterlife, hence the title of the movie, and you basically create it in any way you want. Yeah, and that's the movie. That's pretty much the movie, right, Steven?
I mean, it's created. I mean, using filmmaking. I mean, they recreate the memory through filmmaking.
Yeah,
and
but through filmmaking.
And that's why I love it so much, because I think it is got, not only has it got commentary on, life and what we value in life and what we take, but like that, how our relationship with film is baked in there, I think.
Yeah,
Uh,
very much so. I was thinking, for some reason, I was thinking there were people putting on like plays or something like that were showing memories of their life, but I think it's mostly, you're right, it's mostly conducive to filmmaking. And yeah, Afterlife, really an amazing film. We need more Hirokazu Koreeda on Blu-ray here in the US.
yeah,
We have a couple from Criterion and then a couple from other places, but not enough in my opinion.
not enough.
Not enough. So that's my number 2. Steven, what's your number 2?
You're gonna love it.
I did it already.
Secret and Lies.
Nice.
Mike Lee. This was one that was pretty highly regarded that I needed. I think I just picked it up and was like, threw it right into the ring. Another, Mike Lee's known for his family dramas. He knows how to create characters that are endearing and relatable, and situations like this, real family drama that you just want to go back to. And so Secret and Lies, I can't wait to do some more Mike Lee. I'm gonna try to do some more Mike Lee this coming year. So that's number 2. Let's finish it up.
My number 1 is, we talked about Tarkovsky a little bit earlier. Coincidentally, I did choose a remake of his movie for this episode. So I'm going to choose one of his movies for my number 1, and that is Mirror, the movie from 1975. I'll talk about a movie about time. This movie is all about time and the passage of time, which is something I often ruminate on in my own life. And this movie is about a dying poet who is remembering his life, and you're going in and out of his life through various images and a dreamlike states. And also it's lining up with a lot of the history of Russia in the 20th century as well. And the movie is like a dream. The movie's like a dream of, the passage of time, beautifully, incredibly surreal. This is art house cinema at its most grandiose and sublime. Truly a masterwork from a master filmmaker, in my opinion. This does pair up well with Solaris in terms of dealing with life and the mentality of contemplating your life and things like that. It's a movie that definitely makes you think about your life as well. And it took me years to get to finally work up the courage to watch this movie. Tarkovsky, not an easy director to just sit down and watch his movies. You got to prepare yourself for it.
Exactly.
But I was rewarded after waiting all that time with Mirror.
Well, I'm going to match you with another master director, Satyajit Ray, with The World. This was just, I was finally glad to, like you, finally gotten around to something that I needed to watch, and I loved it. It's a political kind of romantic triangle film. It's got a lot to say in it. It's kind of a contained kind of drama. I don't even want to get into it too. I honestly, I need to just watch it again because I loved it so much. But it's got some it's got some melodramatically to it, but I really dig it, and I really like the perspective it has on relationships and stuff. Really interesting film. Let's run really quick through our 3 because we got to get out of here. But our 3 pair ups. I got pairing up. As I mentioned earlier. Let's see. Let me get it here. Sorry, this is good podcasting. Let's see. Let me make sure I got the right pair. You go ahead. Go with your first one.
Okay. Well, my first pairing is City of Hope, the John Sayles film, with Do the Right Thing. Both movies that are about the inner workings of street life, if you will, and about the culture of the urban setting and its interactions within the community and how they interplay with one another. Both films incredibly deep in terms of thematic richness. Both films by really all-time great directors I would say all time because they're still around. Spike Lee, Do the Right Thing. City of Hope, directed by John Sayles.
I got going with My Baby It's You. It was my pairing Lady Bird with it. I thought really just complemented each other great. About 2 strong female characters, and they're kind of exploring life in all different different ways. So I love that pairing there.
Yeah, my second pairing, obviously, something that is near and dear to my heart is classic movies and classic cinema. It's one of my main passions in life, and kind of one of my main passions just doing chasing labels in general. So my number two pairing is going to be Cleopatra with Casablanca, which,
Yeah.
two all-time classics, two all-time movies that are very significantly important to cinema history, I think, in my opinion. So that's why I kind of paired them up together. I can't even get them all in one shot, as you can see here. What's your next pairing?
Rust and Bone. I paired The Wrestler with it. I thought that was a very interesting pairing where the wrestler character kind of plays both characters that were in Rust and Bone. It's a great little pairing, I think.
Okay. My last pairing, ironically, my number one choice for this year was Mirror by Tarkovsky, but I paired it up with Tree of Life by Terrence Malick. If you want a double feature of surrealism in life, here you go. Because no one loves surrealism more than Terrence Malick. There was that period of his career where he just made movies that were less movies and more just trips down beautiful landscapes.
Yeah.
But this movie, Tree of Life, it's about life, nature versus nurture. It's about past, present, and future. It's everything. It's so hard to describe this movie. It really, really is. It's truly unique. Truly unique. Can't really put more into that than that without doing another hour of this show.
Yeah. Well, going with buddies, I remember pairing it with Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl. Really loved that pairing, and just think it's a movie about two characters. Both movies have characters where they're learning about death through a person they're close with, a friend. And, it's I love that journey, seeing characters go through that in both films, and that's my favorite pairing of the year. So, but that is it for this last Unwatched Pile of the year, guys. I appreciate everybody that stayed with us. Of course, let us know about some of your first time watches. And we will see you in the new year. Yeah, of course, Chasing Labels, Movie Mutations, Movies Down Memory Lane. Check us all out. Go subscribe. And we will see you next time.